So 6 years ago, March 2020, you remember? We all had a moment when we realized the world would never be the same again. For me, it was a frigid morning in Missoula, Montana. I'm stopped at a red light, holding my cold steering wheel, freezing my butt off. I wish I had warmed my truck up 15 minutes earlier. The sun's rising, snow is falling, got my two kids bundled up in the back seat. Public radio's on, and news of the virus is getting really scary. In this moment, I felt a shift in my body. This was big. This was really big, and it was out of my control. Remember what that felt like? Well, major change is happening again. As a wise old man once put it, there's a disturbance in the force. In ecology, disturbance is necessary for renewal. So I want to see this moment as an opportunity to be more intentional about the world we want to live in on the other side. I'll tell you what I'm talking about. For 350,000 years, we Homo sapiens relied on our intelligence, our superior intelligence, for survival and adaptation. We developed tools, we tamed fire, we cultivated our earth, we formed civilizations. Our intelligence has long set us apart. Growing up as a first-generation immigrant, I learned quickly that I had to develop my intelligence to be successful. Work hard, go to college, get good grades. My ability to synthesize information and think critically, backed by diplomas, would set me apart. And it did. But the era of intelligence as our main currency is over. The advances in artificial intelligence, or AI, and the amount of money behind its build-out means we need to be ready for a world where we are not the most intelligent thing on Earth. A crazy amount of intelligence is already available to us, and now AI is writing the code for itself. What this means is that intelligence is going to be cheap. So looking ahead, what still holds value for us? There are at least two things that AI can't do. AI can't make nature. And AI can't replace the sacred connection between people and the earth. In Montana, people's connection to the land is tangible. It's why most of us are here. Whether making a living off the land or spending time enjoying nature's wonders, we all have ties to the land. Even cities and suburbs are all downstream from where their food and water comes from. Our connection to land is actually inseparable from what it is to be human. I think we can make the most of this moment of disturbance by investing in our relationship to the land and natural systems to fill it with real value. My 25-year career in conservation started when I realized I didn't have any strong connection to any piece of land. I was sitting in a religion class at Amherst, a small liberal arts college. It was a class exploring the ethics of place and a place-based life. I was reading about Native Americans, African villagers, white settlers, all with a deep daily relationship with plants, rivers, and wildlife. I discovered a deep yearning to experience what I was reading about. See, I was born in Brazil and raised in the US. I straddled two countries, two cultures, two languages my whole life. While I carry friends with me from every stage of my life, I realized I lacked this connection to land. I remember having an urgent need to feel grounded in the earth. The feeling was so intense, I started walking barefoot to classes, even in the snow. I built huge calluses on my feet and a sense of pride that I could amble about shoeless. I even crossed the graduation stage barefoot. Come to think of it, I was barefoot at my master's graduation too. Don't judge. I got shoes now. So after college, instead of chasing the path of prosperity, the coveted internship in DC, or schmoozing a Goldman Sachs rep, I went to the largest wilderness area in the lower 48 and spent the summer clearing trails with a crosscut saw for the Forest Service. My parents were like, "You're doing what?" That's right, 10 days on, 4 days off, my home and all my food on my back as I climbed up and down mountains clearing trails by hand. No power tools, very little money, and plenty of time to be a human working in nature. This experience was foundational for everything else I've done since. For many years, I used to measure the quality of my day by the color of the water in the shower. The more dirt, the better. I stopped counting the trees I planted after 4 digits. More recently, I became a director of a watershed group, and I traded my hiking boots in for a fancy office chair. Now success is measured by grant dollars and miles of river restoration, and I get to hire others to do the good work on the ground. My life's work is in ecology, in restoring broken natural systems. I've seen the potential we have to restore land and water, which gives me hope and a vision for the future. This is not a future of everyone living off the land like some utopian commune. It's not a backwards-looking vision at all. We should still use our digital tools and AI, and we will need money and markets, but in the service of investing in our relationship to the land and enhancing our ecological systems. In this vision, there is room for everyone, urban and rural. Our modern society would have us believe that our problems can only be fixed by those elite few sitting in their fancy DC and Goldman Sachs offices. Leave it to large corporations and technology to feed the world. Leave it to the World Bank to solve poverty. This AI technology is just the latest expression of the continuing concentration of power into fewer and fewer hands. For the good of the people, or so they say. I've seen this machine from the inside. See, for 2 years I worked at the World Bank in DC. I was an insignificant communications person, but one day I randomly rode the elevator with Paul Wolfowitz, architect of the first Iraq War, and then bank president. I could feel the power in that little metal box. Tell him what I feel about the war, or keep my job. To be fair, many beneficial projects have been accomplished by our global institutions, but here's where it didn't work. People were not the valued currency. We regularly received internal emails from HR to remind us to spend time with our families. Remember work-life balance, they told us. Not that that worked. Getting on the elevator at 7 p.m., slacker. I also witnessed the capture, or golden handcuffs. My boss's boss couldn't sit, his back was so jacked, and he started every meeting with his countdown to retirement, still 10 years away. A colleague from Jamaica desperately missed her home, her family, her culture, her food, and despised her life in this job, but she needed the health insurance, so she stayed. Sound familiar? Working at the World Bank, I could feel how far removed I was from any tangible result or anyone actually benefiting from my efforts. One day, my wife looked at me and said, "You are miserable. Go find a stream job in Montana." So I did. Thank you, wife. After 8 years of environmental consulting, I took a job for the Big Hole Watershed Committee. This organization offers a model for a place-based future. Formed by local ranchers, conservationists, and fishing guides, this group has been meeting every third Wednesday for 31 years, bringing folks together to care for a 150-mile-long river. The focus is on people, on finding common ground, and always defaulting to the health of the resource. This is a model every place can replicate. Throughout my conservation career, from the World Bank to the jungles of Panama, people always talked about involving locals, but as an afterthought, after the master plans and projects have been conceived. What happens when locals are the first thought? AI and machines have no biological connection to the land, no feelings about nature. So before we become dependent on the intelligence of our machines, let's call out their major limitations. Stewardship is made possible by the people who live and work on the land, and these people, their knowledge of how to manage land holds tremendous value. This value, wisdom of place, cannot be replaced by any technology because it is both head and heart. It is hands and instinct. Trusting people on the ground with local knowledge is foundational for us to deliver meaningful management and restoration at the right scale. Because here's the thing, ecology is local. And in every place, we're surrounded by wisdom, not artificial intelligence, but real local knowledge. First, there's our elders. Indigenous men and women hold the threads that allowed people to thrive for millennia in a balanced relationship to the land. The indigenous people of every biome live on the land in tune to their localized climate and with deep understandings of the interconnectedness of natural cycles. And make no mistake, indigenous communities, past and present, actively manage the land and resources to create abundance. We also have local knowledge from farmers, ranchers, hunters, naturalists, and so many more. And we have a young generation, thirsty for non-digital experiences in the natural world, where they can see the results of their work. In this job, I get to work with young, creative, and engaging people who are eager to invest in restoration and their own connections to the land. This is a little bit of what success looks like. In Southwest Montana, multi-generational ranchers have their eyes and ears attuned to the patterns and rhythms in nature. Everywhere we have herbalists, foodies, farmers, healers, deeply connected to the wisdom of earth, plants, and animals. Growing up, I was told that these people were stuck in the past, unambitious, unwilling to change and modernize. In colonial times, the language used to describe any people living in tune with natural ecologies was even worse: savages, primitive. What if that entire narrative is wrong? Can we use this moment of disturbance to get wise? It turns out people have been wisely stewarding the Americas for at least 12,000 years. The first immigrants here just didn't know what they were seeing. When the colonists first arrived, they were blind to the fact that the chestnut forests of the East Coast were planted, cultivated gardens. Before Columbus sailed for the Indies, we now know of civilizations in the Amazon larger than Paris. Massive earthworks and systems to move water, a huge diversity of cultivated plants. We are just now waking up to how brilliant our primitive ancestors were. So in each place on the planet, we can start by asking ourselves, how did we used to manage this place? What are the ecological rhythms and realities of here that I need to respect and emulate? Have you heard of climate change? For years, I was paralyzed by the concept. Megatons of carbon in the atmosphere. Sounds like a lot, but I really can't make sense of those numbers. Sure, I can change a light bulb, I can plant a tree. Planting trees helps prevent climate change, right? Not necessarily, not here. Place matters, local knowledge matters. Turns out trees, besides storing carbon, also use water. Too many trees in this dry climate actually reduces water resources. Nature is wise and shows us the way if we stop to pay attention. In the American West, the mountain pine beetle has decimated forests, and now our forests are in crisis. But actually, the pine beetle is a signal. It is ecology knocking on our door to let us know our forests need more management. Ask any rancher around here, what happened when their pine trees all died? The groundwater springs started flowing again. So here, in this place, we should cut trees instead of plant them. The people indigenous to this land used to burn it regularly to maintain that balance. By understanding the ecological underpinnings of place, we can invest in people and value land management practices that not only restore, but enhance the ecology and natural systems. The solutions will not be top-down. They will involve people on the land. Have you heard that flood irrigation is bad and backwards, inefficient? Not here. Flood irrigation actually mimics what beaver used to do: spread water to charge aquifers and replenish our rivers. And people can act like beavers to create the same functions on the land. I tell you this, there is nothing like the joy of young people acting like beaver and seeing water pool and spread onto thirsty floodplains. We also know that this landscape was formed by the disturbance of millions of bison who would cyclically come through our valleys, eat the greenery, poop, and turn up dirt. It would look like a bomb went off. But this disturbance was nature's refresh button. Healthy ecological systems are built on cycles of disturbance, and people are not apart from that. Not only do people need to provide that disturbance to refresh ecological processes, but our social systems, institutions, even philosophies also need to get hit with that refresh button. My career in conservation was catalyzed by the inspired writings of Thoreau and Emerson, Aldo Leopold, among others. Their descriptions of moments alone in the woods, that feeling of connection to earth, they sparked open that childhood feeling of wanting to have my feet in the dirt, and it drew me back to nature. But their ideals were incomplete at best, damaging and elitist at worst. Because environmentalists continue to see people as a problem for nature, not a part of it. Removing people from nature erases the important history that people have played in managing the landscapes we love and the wisdom of place. In my current work, calls to remove management from the land and let nature sort of do its thing is creating a massive barrier to us actually healing the land. If we're to lose intelligence, let's grow in wisdom of place, of localized stewardship. We can restore and enhance natural systems and cycles. We can value the diversity of culture and cuisine that comes from connection to land. We can create new valuable jobs and industries dedicated to the sustainable use of our natural resources, led and managed locally. Nature has already given us the playbook, socially and ecologically. Diversity is resilience. Polycultures are seeds of resistance. Inefficiency and redundancy increase mutualism and symbiosis. Local people can be flexible, innovate, and adapt when they are empowered, supported, and rooted to place. Monolithic institutions, homogenic cultures cannot. Power in this vision is decentralized because nature is. So the alternative is an investment by each of us into the localized language of the ecological systems where we live and from where we get our food and water. Here in Southwest Montana, that language is of wide open spaces that allow our large and small wildlife to migrate. It's the language of water that blesses us in abundance in one season and then absence in another. It's also the language of fierce independence and cooperation. What locals and land managers value is agency in how they manage the land and water to maximize abundance for all living creatures. So, if you're feeling this disturbance, are wary of the future this artificial intelligence will bring and how much power is being concentrated at the top, turn to the land and the water and the people where you live. Look around and listen, and you will find people past and present with the wisdom of that land. From them, we can learn and reconnect, build an economy that deeply values a localized land ethic. This economy will expand horizontally and reward roots and local culture, clean water, abundant land, and diversity by its nature. Okay.